Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. It's once again time for the WADcast, episode number 134. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the guy that traveled to Florida and the Spiderverse all in the same week. Brandon, What is up?
What's up, man? Happy Friday. First show in 2 weeks. And I'm severely unprepared. For those viewers or listeners, it sounds like I'm speaking directly into my phone. It's because I am. So,
yeah.
Yep. Oh, shit. 1 second. I'll let you do the introduction. Give 1 second. I got to deal with the dog. 1 second.
I already did that, but hey, everybody. Welcome to the WADcast, the Writers, Actors, Directors podcast, streaming to you live or downloaded at your leisure. Presented to you by Wadco Media. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. What can I say? It's been quite the week over here. I mean, first of all, the new Spiderverse movie dropped on us, and it crushed, absolutely crushed. And that's, I mean, come on, that there was no doubt this was going to be the case, right? And although I do think it blew away expectations because of, well, it doubled the first movie's opening weekend take. Maybe it's because of the anticipation. Maybe it's because other than The Little Mermaid, there really wasn't much else to see. And that's the thing about June, right? It is a stacked month when it comes to movie releases, because we had The Little Mermaid, and that did pretty well. Then we had Spiderverse kills. Then this weekend it's the new Transformers. Next weekend it's the Flash. June is just a freaking killer month for movies to go to the movies. You can go every week.
It's going to be a busy one, too. I know there are a few people I know that are gung-ho in the whole, if you, like the whole thing with like Ezra Miller. I know people are saying that if you go see Flash, then you're supporting, that psycho. And they seem to forget that he's already paid.
No, he's not anywhere near paid.
Oh, I'm just saying. He's already been he's already received his finances for his performance. But I get what people are saying with him in regards to if it's successful. There have been talks about having him continue his portrayal of the Flash, which I think is dumb.
No, that's it's a funny thing because they've been very suspicious about their wording, with it. They said, if there's ever a sequel, of course, we're going to have, Ezra Miller play the Flash. And no other actor could do this character justice. Like, very specific, clauses they're putting in to these praises. Not once are they saying, he's going to do great in the sequel. Nope, because there's probably not going to be a sequel. Not because of, financial success, but because, well, quite frankly, how would it fit into James Gunn's universe?
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know any pressure from, it's hard to say that there's anybody higher than him when it comes to DC movies. I just think, and then this is just my opinion, that we're going to get a one and done with the Flash movie, yay for nostalgia with Michael Keaton and, cool Supergirl and all that. But at the end of the day, this is their kind of last remaining bits of the Spiderverse that being killed off with this movie. And of course, the thing that you don't want to say before your mega, tentpole flick pops out is, we will never work with these people again. And you don't want to put any kind of bad taste in the fans' mouths before your movie releases. Afterwards, once you make your money, that's when everything comes out, of course, because you already made your money. Who cares?
Yeah, and I guess you got a point there, because it's kind of like Dwayne Johnson with his whole thing with Black Adam. Somehow it's oh yeah, I spoke with James Gunn, and he said I'll see where Black Adam fits in the future DCU. Well, also I was going to get raised back in November. That never happened. So.
And by the way, speaking of The Rock, found out sad news today. Young Rock was just canceled after 3 seasons.
No. I haven't seen a single season. I haven't seen a single episode.
It's worth the watch if you're into wrestling. So not for you, especially the '80s era where you have in '90s, of course, when The Rock got big. But seeing the portrayals of like Macho Man Randy Savage and Andre the Giant, and as people that he grew up around, it's funny. It's funny to watch.
Okay, see, I'd be interested in watching because of that. Because modern wrestling, the last decade and a half, I haven't watched it. I really just have not gotten into it. Because I was watching some older stuff from the WWF and WCW from the 80s and early 90s, going back to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jake the Snake, $1 Million Man, all that. Cactus Jack, was that Cactus Jack?
Late 80s, 90s, Mick Foley.
But it's I went back and I watched a few wrestling shows, just YouTubing stuff and everything else.
Yeah.
And it was vastly different back then. It was much less of a they all had the vendettas and all that stuff. They obviously had the things they had to stick to. But it was nowhere near as soap operatic as it is right now.
All right. I wouldn't go that far because
it wasn't as loaded with all the I don't know, they were the whole plots and everything else, character arcs and all that stuff, things I wasn't aware of when I was a kid. So it was interesting going back and revisiting and seeing some of that stuff. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan, all that stuff.
That's one I was going to bring up. You talk about not being soap opera-y. Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth, and Hulk Hogan in that weird triangle where Macho Man cuts a promo and says something like, he looked at her with lust in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It's that's something straight out of Knots Landing, dude.
Either way. I'll check the show out just to see what the portrayals of these wrestlers that I grew up with as well, how they're portrayed. That sounds interesting.
You know who else was a wrestler when they were younger?
Who?
Spider-Man.
Who?
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. That's a good transition into the topic.
Thank you. I hope you're ready because Bone Soul's ready.
Oh yeah. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. Rest in peace, legend. I went to go see into this Across the Spiderverse today.
Yeah.
Danielle and I went to go see it this morning.
I know she liked it because she responded to your post on Facebook.
Oh yeah. We were both. I just got off work last night. I still, aside from dozing off once or twice for a second or two in the theater, I have not. And you can't. They're reclining chairs, man. I can't help it. I was so comfortable. But
hold on, before you go on, I'm just going to make sure that this is made aware throughout. Spoiler tag. There was a spoiler tag in the title.
I wasn't going to spoil anything, but I will say, at the end of the movie, and I'm going to make this my one episode because I'm going to quote at least 30 people in the theater. It like the only spoiler I will say the spoiler, it leaves up on a cliffhanger because they're making a continuation. They're making like a third movie that's said to be released early next year. But once it cut to the to be continued, at least 30 people. What the fuck? Like busted out laughing, like yeah. But it was such a great movie. I love how they actually have the callbacks. Huh?
So was it you? I was saying then when it comes to Spider-Man movies, this is their empire.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the thing is, and they even mentioned other Spider-Man movies in this movie. They mentioned they mentioned Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. The incident with Doctor Strange and Peter Parker. They mentioned that stuff. Because that was Doctor Strange. Come on, if you haven't seen that movie yet, you need to go see it. But it deals with the multiverse. But it has like shots of Tobey Maguire and Uncle Ben. It has shots of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and then you have like the Spider-Man characters from the cartoons in there too.
Mm-hmm. The '90s cartoon. He was conspicuously absent. The '90s cartoon was conspicuously absent.
Yep, I was going to say like I didn't see that one in there. I was surprised by that, but they have the newer cartoons, like the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series, like that Spider-Man's in there. But it's just the whole like arc for Miles Morales in the new Spider-Man movie. It was so well done. And Miguel, like Spider-Man 2099. The way the trailers make him look like he is the actual villain of this movie. And I not really an argument, but I was having a discussion over that with Danielle. She's like, well, yeah, he was kind of the villain. It's like, well, no, he wasn't the villain. He was the antagonist. That doesn't necessarily, those two aren't necessarily the same thing.
Right.
Like, that's no more. So, like, I mean, same thing could be said for other characters in other movies. That they're not bad guys. Miguel is a hero. He just knows what damage can be caused by dealing with Miles Morales is trying to, circumvent, and what he's trying to prevent from happening. But he's just trying to stop him. That's it. He's trying to let nature take its course to where the multiverse and like his dimension isn't, pretty much destroyed. But it really was such a damn good movie. But before this movie, like this movie is like the latest in the Spider-Man movies, but there have been Spider-Man movies dating back to the 1970s. I think the first one was like a TV movie. I forget the actor that was in it, but wasn't a great movie. It really wasn't.
There hasn't been a good interpretation until Sam came along.
Yeah, Sam Raimi came along with Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Spider-Man 3 happened. And, Avi Arad wanted Sam Raimi to put Venom in there, and Sam Raimi just had no interest in using Venom. He didn't understand the character, and he didn't want to use something he didn't really understand. So he just kind of had to shoehorn Venom in. But I believe the original villain for Spider-Man 3 is going to be the Vulture.
Or maybe the Lizard.
Yeah, it was going to be one of those two. But then, like,
in every movie.
Yeah, you were expecting at some point, like one of those movies, that the Lizard would make an appearance.
Like, this guy's going to turn into the Lizard. We already know this. He's the one with one arm. Yeah,
so it's like when they had Tobey Maguire fighting the Lizard in No Way Home, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, finally, at least he fights some kind of lizard here. But no, Spider-Man 1 was it was pretty good. It's actually like,
let's hold on Spider-Man 1.
Okay.
Talk about that for a second. Now, at the time, let's talk about at the time. At the time, it was absolutely amazing, no pun intended, because it was the first time Spider-Man had been, shown on the big screen in what we'd call sort of a respectable fashion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nobody took comic book movies seriously, and at the time, let's face it, it was still a very minor amount of people that did. Sam Raimi being one of them. And he gave us, I think, the best interpretation of Spider-Man, barring the 90s cartoon that we'd really seen. Because, I mean, let's face it, that Fox cartoon was dope.
It was great. Mary Jane was just like...
Mary Jane was Mary Jane. Let's face
that
it.
That whole, like, Mary Jane, will you marry me? And she jumps off the other side of a building. He catches her. What were you thinking? He's like, I had to prove to myself that you'd catch me, like you'd always be there to catch me. You will, won't you? Of course I will. I'm like, wow. If he didn't jump, he could have dodged a bullet there.
A psychotic woman.
Like,
but
like, what if his web shooters weren't working?
I didn't come prepared for this. I'm here to propose, not be a hero.
Like, no, but yeah, it's like he's proposing and she's making him work.
When was the last time you watched this movie?
Spider-Man 1?
Yeah.
A month ago.
Okay. Well, I watched it in the lead up to No Way Home. I watched all of the live action Spider-Man movies, the 3, 2, and then 2, because, you know, Hollywood and Disney and Marvel's worst kept secret, you know, being, no, the old Spider-Men aren't in this movie.
Oh yeah, that was so like that. There was a picture release of all 3 Spider-Man suits right next to each other. Yeah. The video of Andrew Garfield with a blue screen behind him, holding on to like a the side rail.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all over the place. Everyone knew that they were going to be in it.
That was old footage. That was an old picture.
Yeah, and the trailer that was released where it shows Tom Holland Spider-Man jumping towards the Sandman, the Lizard, and Electro, and the Lizard's head just like suddenly just getting like caught to the side as if he just got kicked. Yeah. You guys did a bad job hiding that one. Such a bad job.
It's so amazing. Again, no pun intended. But going back to that first Spider-Man movie, I'm gonna, hot take here. I'm gonna say it didn't age well.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's okay now, but it's like, look at Spawn. Okay, back in 1997, I think it was. Spawn was a pretty legit movie.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it now, you're like, oh god. Mortal Kombat, dude. Back in 1995, it was a legit movie. Seeing Scorpion with like the spear coming out of his hand and everything else. It has a mouth and growl and all that stuff. It's,
weak, pathetic fool.
Huh?
Nothing.
No, I'm just saying, but it's like, so that, I mean, either way, so the graphics do not hold up. And
I'm not talking about special effects.
I know. Let me finish. But more so the dialogue. The dialogue, honestly, the only person that really the dialogue really sticks, the only 2 people I think it really sticks is between Norman Osborn and Jameson. I think everyone else just has the campiest dialogue and just really bad delivery of lines. It's like clunky. But it's Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi's not known to be like an expert at. He's like the George Lucas of superhero movies to me. When it comes to like George Lucas's writing,
Sand.
Sand, or like young Anakin like being told that he could just like finish doing something, he can go home. He jumps off the table and he yells "Yippee" when he runs away. Like, I mean, it's just like it's one of those deals where it's like I feel like Sam Raimi's like, no, stick to my script. I know what I'm doing with writing. So this is how people talk.
Can you imagine, they're, on set that day, and the kid that's, I don't remember his name, the kid's playing young Anakin.
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd's on the table, right? And George is like, you know what, say something like Yippee when you run off. And Jake Lloyd's like, okay, let me see if I can work with that. So he jumps off and goes, yay, and then runs off. And George's like, cut. Okay, Jake, come back here.
It's like, I said yippee.
I said yippee. So you say yippee. Do you understand me? Do you know what happened to the younglings?
Oh,
too dark?
No, I mean he wouldn't have known what happened to the younglings yet because Jake Wood was in episode 1 and the younglings died in episode 3.
Yeah, and of course, I believe it's.
And I refuse to believe that George Lucas had all these scripts like planned out. I think that's an absolute bullshit fabrication that he made up.
The biggest myth of all, George Lucas. Everything's planned out.
Yeah, like, it was supposed to be a one and done. So Star Wars was supposed to be like he did not know if he was going to make more. He had a very, very tight budget. But the thing is, like with George Lucas, like there's no way that anyone could ever convince me that he had episodes 1 through 3 planned out before he started with A New Hope. Because initially it was just called Star Wars.
Yeah.
There was no episode 4 A New Hope. It was just Star Wars.
And that was added after the sequel was released, and Star Wars was re-released prior to that, and they added the episode 4 A New Hope.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
the family relations are revealed. Everyone's like, whoa. And then they think back, whoa. And George Lucas is off to the side going, don't worry, it'll be hot one day.
Did you ever see that episode of The Simpsons where it has a flashback to Homer and Marge seeing The Empire Strikes Back? And as they're walking out of the theater, there's a whole line of people waiting in line to go see this movie. Right there on the block. And Homer Simpson's walking right past. I'm like, who would have thought that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?
Oh, man.
There was a girl that when we went to go see the Spider-Man movie today, the girl at the concession, I asked her, I was like, hey, so it's been 20 years since I worked in a movie theater. I kind of miss because we used to get like free movie showings, like at least like a week before they opened. I know that it's no longer delivered by reel. Now it's all digital. But do you get to see these movies like 2 or 3 days before their release? It's like, well, yeah, why? It's like, well, because I saw episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars a week before their release dates. And I had a friend of mine that was a huge Star Wars geek. He ran his mouth one time, I think during episode 1. He ran his mouth. And I told him that Qui-Gon Jinn died. And Darth Maul gets cut in half. This man's face, I could just see like the red building from his neck slowly going up, like all the veins popping out and everything else. And so I was like, I think it'd be cool if I were to work part-time in a movie theater just one day a week, just so I could spoil shit for people if they piss me off.
That's fair.
But anyway, no, going back to Spider-Man 1, I think you're right. Spider-Man 1 aged 4. Spider-Man 2, I didn't
get to talk about Spider-Man yet.
Oh, I thought we finished. Okay, well
you got to talk about it, and then I got to listen to you talk about it.
Okay, go
ahead. You're right, though. The dialogue is, borderline camp at points. But I think the real issue, the biggest thing for me, even though everyone swears that, Tobey Maguire is the best version of Peter Parker.
I don't think so at all.
Even though he's like, 50 and, chasing around Kirsten Dunst. An exaggeration. I know that he wasn't 50. Anyway, it's that he's so creepy. It's almost stalkerish the way he pines after MJ. Taking her picture and looking at her from out the window and just always giving her that longing gaze.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, she has no interest in him. And No, you're doing it all wrong, Peter. And speaking of MJ, you don't really see it in the first movie, but it's going to be a theme as we talk about the first 3 movies. MJ is the worst.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, at the very end when she goes up to Peter Parker and gives him that very horribly written speech, and then she kisses him. That came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
like that scene, it came out of even when I saw it in theaters, I'm like, that okay, did I miss something in this movie that built to this?
No,
like I'm trying to think, like, and I watched it again, like nothing really builds to this, to these feelings.
And it's certainly not anything relating to characters that we've seen on on screen before.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, in Spider-Man 2, they could have built towards that. It would have made sense that, like, you know, when she's getting married to John Jameson Jr., when she runs across New York City in record time in her wedding dress, girl's athletic, it would have made sense that she started having feelings for Peter at that point, and then that could have been built on in Spider-Man 3. But but Spider-Man 2, but I mean Spider-Man 1, the way they wrapped up the whole Green Goblin thing, how they honestly they made a mistake with having Mary Jane be the love interest. That was her mistake.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, Gwen Stacy was the love interest. You should have ended Spider-Man 1 with Gwen Stacy's death, which would have led into Spider-Man 2. But like at the time, superhero movies, they were trying to make Spider-Man more of a upbeat kind of movie, kind of, I guess. They were, but they weren't. Very brightly lit most times when he's doing his hero shit. Except for, of course, like the final scene when he's fighting the Green Goblin at like middle of the night nearby the Brooklyn Bridge. But yeah, like I would have done that vastly different. But Spider-Man 2, when they introduced the way they portrayed Dr. Octopus, I mean, they pretty much laid all the cards on the table for that movie right there in front of you at the very opening scenes of the movie. They laid everything out, like just you could have pretty much built the story with how they like laid everything out.
Yeah.
It was, I still like Spider-Man 2. I still think is, I want to say like live action wise, I will say Spider-Man 2 is probably like the second or third greatest entry in all the live action Spider-Man films, and it's just because of like the fight scenes in that movie were amazing.
Yeah,
the fight scenes with Dr. Octopus were absolutely amazing. We got to see a fraction of that in Spider-Man No Way Home. Thankfully, I thought it was cool how they revisited that. But that's that train fight scene, especially if you have like the extended version of Spider-Man 2. That train fight scene is insane. Like it's like a 5-minute long fight.
You know, an often forgot about fight scene in that movie is the one up the side of the building.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When Doc Ock has Aunt May, and she's like beating him over the head. Just that whole fight turn sideways thing was awesome to watch unfold, and you know, to cap it all off with the subway with the train fight, it was virtually immaculate, especially the origin of Dr. Octopus with the surgery scene.
Oh god, yeah, that was there was a kid in the theater that started screaming at that scene. It was brutal, man. That was some Evil Dead shit that he did in that scene.
Yeah. Pressed up against the window.
Oh, dude, the one scene where the woman's running away and the tentacle grabs her by the foot, you hear that bone crunch. Like the sound design, and I'll say that too. The sound design of Spider-Man 2 was so much better than it was in Spider-Man 1. On top of that, like if you go back and watch Spider-Man 1 and you watch the scenes with like the Green Goblin flying around, it looks pretty bad at times. But granted, this is, I think it was like 2002, I think when that came out, 2001, 2002. Let's say 2001. But you know, so it's like all the action CGI graphics that they had back then when everything was blurry at all times.
You know, it's weird. Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, has this weird timestamp on it, right? Because the initial sneak peeks, the teaser trailer involved Spider-Man stopping a robbery
The World Trade Center, right?
With the World Trade Center, spiderweb in between the World Trade Center.
Oh yeah, pulling the whole helicopter into its web.
And then before it was released, they had to pull that because of 9/11.
Yeah. So they left the scene that they used in the trailer where Spider-Man is like looking at what he did with the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
That was left in the film. During the montage of like when you see Spider-Man for the very first time, you see his mask, like close up in the lens, you see the World Trade Centers. So they still have some stuff in there for me, but yeah, it's so 2002. That's when it came out. Okay. So yeah, 2002 is when it came out because I think it got delayed because of that.
I want to say maybe because it was either 2002 or late 2001, November-ish.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up, like when I have my laptop. But Daniel's got the laptop in the car.
Let's see.
But my favorite part about Spider-Man 2, though, it was the marketing. If you watch that trailer got you pumped to see that movie.
May 3rd, 2002.
Okay. But if you watch the trailer for Spider-Man 2, though, that trailer got you pumped. Hey, can we play that on here really quick?
What's that?
The trailer for Spider-Man 2?
Yeah. Give me just a second. You got to talk to the people. I do this.
No, that's fine. But yeah, like as far as Spider-Man 2 goes, I mean, like that's the storyline of the plot, and like I said, the whole thing I didn't really care for was Mary Jane constantly harassing Peter and bullying him into like, are we going to date or not? Like she's bullying him. She's treating him like crap the entire damn movie. Like she's just talking smack to the poor guy. And then when he's mean to her in Spider-Man 3, she's like, oh my God, you're so mean to me. Like you've been mean to him for the last like 5 years. Poor guy's tolerated enough. But no, it's the Spider-Man 2 with that, how Dr. Octopus eventually gains control through willpower over the arms, overhearing his own quotes. I cannot imagine that character really caring that much, but they had to turn him into, a tool to, I guess, wrap up the movie. And I will say that I think, I would say that Dr. Octopus is the first in the. Well, no, I guess Magneto would be like the first of the more sympathetic villains because you kind of feel bad for Magneto in X-Men. You understand his motivations. But when it came to Spider-Man 2, it's just like it's the way they did Dr. Octopus, the way they made him, this character as being controlled by his arms through artificial intelligence. Finding out now we live in 2023 and God only knows. But the way they had him controlled by his arms, I thought it was brilliant the way they actually showed that he wasn't really a bad guy, he was being controlled. Oh, is this it?
This is it. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I believe there's a hero in all of us. Gives us strength, makes us noble. Even though sometimes we have to give up the thing we want the most.
Parker! Where you been? Looking for you all morning.
You're late.
Always late. You're fired.
Look at you, Peter. Your grades have been declining. You always appear exhausted.
I know, I'm trying.
Where you been, pal? You don't return my calls.
I've been kind of busy.
Taking pictures of your friend. Spider-Man killed my father.
No matter what I do,
do you love me or not?
No matter how hard I try,
I want Spider-Man dead.
It's the ones I love who will always be the ones who pay.
I can't keep thinking about you. I'm getting married.
I want a life of my own. And Spider-Man. No more.
You look different.
I let things get in the way before. There was something I thought I had to do. I don't have to.
I like seeing you tonight, Peter.
Now on to the main event.
Octavius is going to put Oscorp on the map in a way my father never even dreamed of.
crazy scientist turns himself into some kind of a monster. 4 mechanical arms welded right onto his body.
You take Spider-Man's pictures. Where is he?
It's taking me off your loyalty to Spider-Man and not your best friend.
It's weird that kid knows exactly who the Taylor Swift photographer is.
How do I find him? Peter Parker. Find Spider-Man, or I'll peel the flesh off her bones. There are bigger things happening here than me and you.
Like, listen to this music.
It's very well put together.
Let's see who's behind the mask.
See, that is a trailer that you get pumped when you see it in the theaters. Like, and this is in the early days. This is like, this movie came out pre-YouTube, so it's like you could go just like go look up YouTube. You had to go like different websites to try to find it, or download it on like LimeWire or whatever. That's how you had to get these trailers to really watch them. But
it took so long to download too.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like that movie, I get into conversations with people like at work once in a while, and one of my conversations we get into is movie sequels. Mm-hmm. And my coworker John will say like, "Oh well, Terminator 2 is the only sequel that was ever better than the first. Like Terminator 2 and Aliens are the only 2 movies whose sequels were better than the first movie." To which I have to say that first off, Aliens is a different kind of movie than Alien. I say Aliens is more of an action film than it is a horror film.
Yeah.
Alien was definitely a horror film. Right. But Spider-Man 2 is up there in those ranks where it is so much better than the first movie.
The Godfather Part 2.
No, Godfather Part 2. But I'm just talking about like what our topic tonight. I'm talking about like how Spider-Man 2, even that trailer had nothing but scenes that showed that the stakes were a lot higher. There's going to be a lot more action. The special effects were so much better than the first one. Like they nailed down this movie. Like the first movie was like crawling. This movie was just flat out running. I mean, the pacing of this movie is so much better than the first one. What's that?
I said, or swinging, if you will.
That's swinging. But it was just a much better movie. And then we got Spider-Man 3.
Now, I get what they were going for, you know, as far as the basically their Venom is their Eddie Brock is the anti Peter Parker, similar background but without an Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the execution of that was less than stellar. It's through no fault of anybody involved in the actual filming.
I'll say this: Spider-Man 3, the best fight scene in that entire movie was between Peter Parker and James Franco, Harry Osborn. The best fight in that entire movie was between those two across the high-rise apartments.
Here's another hot take. I'm going to say Spider-Man 3, not the worst movie in that trilogy.
No, Spider-Man 1 is still the worst movie in that trilogy. Spider-Man 3, it's just
so many people swear by that first Spider-Man movie.
I think it's overrated. I've always thought Spider-Man was, and I always thought Tobey Maguire was overrated as Spider-Man. He nailed it as Spider-Man. He was as creepy as shit as Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm. It's been my experience that, yes, Spider-Man, the first Raimi movie, was absolutely stunning until Spider-Man 2 came out. And then you had something to hold it up to.
Yeah.
And you realize that it falters.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, again, gonna say it, better than Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But Spider-Man 3 came out. what they did with the Sandman was awesome. I will say what they did with the Sandman, Flint Marko, and how they made him more sympathetic. They kind of took the same route with him that they took with Dr. Octopus. Yeah, this guy, while Dr. Octopus was a brilliant scientist, married, the whole world ahead of him, the whole life ahead of him, stuff like that. Flint Marko was, as he always has been, he was a convict. But in this, he was just a guy that made mistakes. Like how it tied him into the whole thing with Uncle Ben's death. I get what they were doing with that one. I thought that was a mistake in direction, but I do get it. I was like, okay, that's okay.
It added a personal,
a personal vendetta, and it helped with the black suit. It added like a vengeance to it, which is also the purpose of it, really. Just like,
although one can say that if you just took out that, coincidental relation between him and Peter, that it might make the black suit even more meaningful, that he is just out to punish people that are breaking the law instead of making it all about vengeance.
See, that's one thing I didn't like about Spider-Man 3 is because we saw so little of what he did in that black suit, aside from just being an asshole. We saw more of Peter Parker just being a dickhead. The black suit Spider-Man arc was so badass, and he was so horrible in that black suit at times. And we saw like a fraction of it in that movie.
Yeah, he had the black suit for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Spider-Man 3 should have been that should have been a 2-part movie. The first movie should have dealt with Flint Marko. Well, no, I would say the first movie should have dealt with Flint Marko at first, and then the black suit into the symbiote, finding out it's alive and he can't get it off, and that's where the movie should have ended. Like, he's stuck with the suit, he cannot get rid of it, or something, or he has like an idea that it's alive, it's a symbiote, and then cut into Spider-Man 4. Or Spider-Man 3 part 3.1, whatever you want to call it. It should have led into him getting rid of the black suit in the first half hour, and the black suit transferring onto Eddie Brock, and then Sandman coming back and Spider-Man having to fight Sandman again, and then ultimately Venom, if they're going to do it that way. But the black suit, the whole Venom story arc, they just rushed right the hell through. We saw so little of Venom.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they portrayed Venom in that movie, it was all wrong. It was completely wrong. And I think that's why I spoke with you about this. You never had Eddie Brock say "we" or anything like that when he was wearing the Venom suit. When he was Indiana, shut up. I love my dogs, but so for Grace, the entire movie, he's like, "Oh yeah, I." He's the whole time it's not like a dual personality there.
Yeah, there's no symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it's just him. That's it. So
now let's push through these Amazing Spider-Man movies real quick.
Yeah,
because
we got to burn through these really quick. It's already getting up there.
Now I know a lot of people are they take the piss out of Andrew Garfield for his movies, but
I liked him.
I rate them highly, not so much because of all of I don't understand what people's problem with Amazing Spider-Man 2 in particular was, because the way I saw it, and I could be wrong, the whole cocky angle, he's arrogant, he's like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm the best, which ultimately led to him losing the girl that he loved.
Yeah,
it's his own arrogance that led to Gwen Stacy's death, and the fact that he felt like he could do anything, and that was such a gut punch that it left me rocked.
Oh yeah,
and it left me rocked again before No Way Home, even though it was like how many years after the initial release?
Yeah,
it's still a movie that hits.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think came out like 2014 or something like that. So you're talking like, you know, a good like 8 years later. Maybe 2015, but I'm pretty sure it's 2014. You looking that up?
Yes. Making sure we give out all of the right infos. Amazing Spider-Man 2 2014. Yes.
Okay. So I'm on part there.
I didn't even have a problem with Jamie Foxx. I thought he was fine. I just want to be special.
Yeah. Well, fine. But yeah, so the whole portrayal of that kind of stuff, it's the way people handle that stuff, the way that they looked at everything with those with those two entries, like they thought that, I guess, like with Andrew Garfield, he was way too cool to be Peter Parker or stuff like that. But honestly, he wasn't popular. He was more of a loner. You didn't really see him hanging out with a whole bunch of friends. He stood up for a guy that was getting his ass kicked by Flash Thompson, then he got his ass kicked by Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, he was still bullied. And it wasn't until, like, I guess his until Uncle Ben died in the Amazing Spider-Man movie where Flash actually tries to be friendly to him, and he slams him against the locker, like, ready to kill him. Like, but I think what made those movies better is that you look at Mary Jane and people would stop calling me. Yay, using my phone. If you look at Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson in the first 3 Spider-Man films,
yeah,
and then you look at Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man film, the chemistry is just there between, you know, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire had like zero chemistry, like none.
No.
There was like nothing there.
And that was
it was just like, oh yeah, they're acting, huh?
So that was just a toxic relationship.
Oh yeah, but even then, it's like, just like in the acting, I didn't like there was no chemistry. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, there was a ton of chemistry between those two, and it was actually more believable that that's how they would start, because, like, you know, you even had Uncle Ben embarrassing, you know, Peter Parker in the high school. It's like, oh, that's the girl from your computer. Oh, he's got pictures of you on his computer. But then, like, when he went hunting for Uncle Ben's killer, like, that was a powerful scene, a powerful few scenes. You know, like the whole scene, like where he he gets a car thief and he webs him against the wall and everything else, and you know, he webs his mouth shut, and then he just slams against the wall and like right next to the guy, and he's like just like face to face, like right there in the guy's face. I mean, you could just that was a lot more powerful. Indiana, knock it off. That was a lot more powerful. So, but and then when they wrapped it up, like the Lizard was a damn good villain too. You know, they actually did a good job with that. You know,
Raimi was able to use that.
What's that?
Imagine if Sam Raimi was able to use a character like the Lizard with his, you know, horror, you know, sense.
Yeah, well, if Sam Raimi's a talented writer, it'd be great. I don't think he's a talented writer. I think he's a good director, but he just kind of sticks to what he knows with his directing. He doesn't really like travel outside his comfort zone.
Mark Webb's not bad.
Huh?
Said Mark Webb's not bad. I can't really think of anything that.
Oh no, Mark Webb. No, Mark Webb's actually decent with his directing. I'm just saying, if you watch a Sam Raimi film, they all look the same. They all like have the same like tone to them. Like there's like the same kind of transitions, or the same kind of like camera effects. If you know what I'm talking about, like you have something that's like he went back to his Evil Dead days with Bruce Campbell, and he just regurgitated everything. Like even the scene with like the Green Goblin getting smashed by the wall in Spider-Man 1. and him coming out from the ground like with his hand up. Like, oh, that's like an Evil Dead.
Even you could see it play out very clearly in Doctor Strange 2.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
It was very much Sam Raimi's style.
Yeah. And it was cool to see Sam Raimi behind the director in the director's chair and having Tobey Maguire come back. It was cool to see that those two are working together again for the first time in ever. Oh no, that was not. No, I'm sorry, that was Sam Raimi Multiverse. I'm sorry, I'm like getting mixed up here. No, in Multiverse of Madness, absolutely everything that was done there. Even like with Doctor Strange coming back, like I'm sorry, what is it? Whatever it was, like walking, like like mind walking or whatever it was, like when he goes and
inhabited his own dead body from a different,
yeah, like that was very much like I'm like this, like okay, well you get it, Sam Raimi, you like dead things, gotcha, buddy. It's always got to be a dead thing, but
you wanted Doctor Strange to be a deadite so he could fight. Got it.
Yeah, and he looked just like a damn deadite.
And I'm here for it.
I made a joke about how all those black souls that he was like pulling towards and all that stuff, like the black demons, wherever they were. I was like, oh, those were like the Evil Dead demons.
I
was waiting for like the Necronomicon to show up somewhere.
You keep saying things right before I'm about to. It's like we have the Darkhold. Well, we have the Necronomicon.
Yeah. But no, it's like as far as like those movies, then Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, how they did the Rhino, what they did with like Electro, they're turning Harry into the Green Goblin because I guess Norman Osborn died. What pissed me off was like the tease they had to the Sinister Six at the end of the movie. But what they got right of all the Spider-Man movies up to that point was the damn costume.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Spider-Man costume. And it was great. But, I like how the Green Goblin found out about, like, Peter Parker's identity. After he defeats Electro and all that stuff, you have Gwen Stacy, like, shouting, like, Peter, and he just puts it together right there on the spot. It's like, well, I know you two hang out, like, Peter Parker, like, I'll take something from you now, like whatever. But I love the callbacks in the No Way Home thing when Max is like before he becomes Electro, he's carrying the blueprints and everything else, and almost gets hit by a car. Spider-Man saves him, and he was like, "Oh, why would you save me? I'm a nobody." He's like, "No, you're not a nobody. You're somebody." And at the very end of No Way Home, Max is back to being Max again. He's no longer Electro. He's like back to being nobody. He's like, you were never a nobody, Max. But I don't know. It's like Spider-Man 2. I thought it was great. Like, I mean, I actually really enjoyed that movie. I love the ending. I really wish we could have seen more of a fight between Rhino and Spider-Man because in the trailer we just saw him fighting the Rhino. Lo and behold, that's right before the credits start.
The got two things to go through, and there's only a few minutes left. Real quick take on MCU Spider-Man, starting with Captain America: Civil War, where he makes his first appearance, fighting alongside Iron Man in Germany.
Yeah.
After seeing, for once, make it get it.
Yeah. The introduction of that suit, watching them actually figure out a way to make the lenses actually squint and everything else instead of show expression in the face.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh, I thought that was awesome. Like how, if you're gonna make it to where this kid can actually focus on more things, and that these lenses actually show his expressions and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But then seeing in I think what is it? Homecoming, when he crashes into the backyard, and his lenses are all like twitching, so you can see that it's just mechanical stuff. Like, yeah. I mean, Oh, hey guys! And then start twitching. The kids start screaming.
And finally, in Homecoming, we do something that should be done always, unless it's supposed to mean something, which is keep your villain alive.
Oh yeah.
Not every superhero movie has to end with the death of the bad guy.
Yeah, I think the only villain that survived the first three movies. Yeah, the first three, the Sam Raimi movies, the only villain that survived, I think, was Sandman. I think in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the only villain that survived was Harry Osborn. Oh no, Kirk Connors. Okay, so they survived.
But having the Vulture survive all that, and the fact that Peter was dating his daughter for a little bit was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
it was very reminiscent of that dinner scene in the first Spider-Man movie where Peter and Norman are sitting across from each other, and suddenly they realize, or at least Norman realizes what he realizes.
Yeah. No, that car scene was filmed brilliantly too. Just the whole time he's listening to him and all that stuff, and once he realizes who Spider-Man is, you see the light turn green, he just got it. Mm-hmm. Thank God Spider-Man was there. Good old Spider-Man. But no,
it was great. It was great.
Oh yeah, and I love the relationship between Iron Man and Peter Parker throughout that Spider-Man movie. But and then what was it? Spider-Man Far From Home with Mysterio. I thought that was very very well done.
Yeah,
I really liked how they did that with just him being a former employee of Tony Stark and feeling slighted by Tony Stark for referring to pretty much taking credit for his work and referring to it as barf. And then seeing the disgruntled employees that used to work for Tony Stark, they're all now pretty much on Mysterio's side. But it's just and even that when you saw the relationship building between MJ and Peter Parker in the movie, that was great. That's how you build the relationship between those two characters. You don't have to introduce Gwen Stacy. You can show a different version of MJ.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, but played by Zendaya. Very well played by Zendaya, might I add.
And talk about chemistry. So talk about chemistry between.
Oh yeah, and that chemistry, it definitely in the first movie, they were she was just this weird girl, and throughout the three movies, that chemistry slowly was built up between those two characters, and it was built up brilliantly. Ned Leeds playing the best friend. Ned Leeds, if you're not a comic book buff like I am, Ned Leeds was the Hobgoblin. So even in the scene where in Spider-Man No Way Home, when Ned Leeds says, "I promise I'll never turn into a villain," he's wearing the Hobgoblin's colors in that scene. Now there's supposed to be three more Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. I hope they bring Homeboy back and have him play Ned Leeds where he turns into the Hobgoblin. I think that'd be awesome. We don't need the Green Goblin. We haven't met Harry Osborn yet. We haven't met Norman Osborn.
Not this universe's anyway.
Yeah. So apparently in this universe he doesn't exist, because in No Way Home, Norman Osborn gets transferred to that universe, and he's saying he went to his old house. He went to his old building. His building wasn't there. So in this universe, he doesn't exist.
Or he's not there.
You would think he's going to try to look himself up at least.
That's also if we're taking his word for it, because
he was Norman at that point.
But was he ever really Norman?
No. Yeah, when he was begging for help, he was Norman.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
The Spider-Sense did not go off until Norman turned into the Green Goblin. There was, I think, and that was like when someone said like, "We'll get you fixed" or something like that, or like, "We'll get you cured." And Green Goblin took that, he took that personally. But
the Holland movies, I've enjoyed all of them.
mm-hmm.
Love Night Monkey.
Yeah.
No.
Here, Josh. I'm going to leave this just for a minute. I'm going to come right back. I'm going to let you take over. I'll come right back into this. Okay.
Okay. I think the biggest missed opportunity when it comes to the Holland movies is probably straight up the dropping of Peter Parker's identity being revealed by Mysterio. It became, don't get me wrong, it became a catalyst for what happens in No Way Home. But that whole arc lasts all of 10 minutes before it's just gone to spell. And I believe I've talked about it on the WADcast before. It's one of those situations where you think you can almost visualize what's happening in the producers' meeting, where they're like, okay, we're getting the story beats ready for Spider-Man 3, untitled at this point, and we just had this big reveal at the end of Far From Home. Let's how are we going to work on that? Like, I don't know. Too bad we can't get the other two Spider-Men to come back for something. We can't. I mean, we're Marvel owned by Disney. Why can't we? I don't know. Never really tried. Should we ask? Yeah, go ahead and ask. What's the worst that could happen? In the meantime, continue making plans for the movie. Time goes by. They're writing the movie. Getting things ready, and then the intern comes in saying, "They said yes. They said yes. We have Holland, or we have Maguire. We have Garfield. They want to be in the next Spider-Man movie." And some guys like, I mean, that's awesome, but we already have these. Throw it out. We got to have some elements from the Mysterio thing. So let's keep the first 10, 15 minutes. Let's try to squash everything that we've been working on into that first few minutes, and then we'll see what happens. So yeah, and then next thing you know, we get Spider-Man No Way Home, all of the live action Spider-Man from Sam Raimi forward, feature films team up, and we kind of get, oh God, it's one thing to see Tobey Maguire kind of doing the Spider-Man Peter Parker thing, seeing where he went, what he got up to, hearing that his complication with MJ still complicated. It's kind of sad, really, but it perfectly reflects that their relationship is just not great. And then hearing how Andrew Garfield Spider-Man stopped pulling his punches after a while because he was just so grief stricken. And then we get that moment of redemption where he gets to save Holland's MJ. That was, man, just thinking about that. It's a moment. It's a movie moment that will be remembered, I think. Watching Andrew Garfield get his redemption.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've always liked
I cried.
I like the brotherhood between the three of them. And the fact that they actually did the whole meme thing, with each other. Peter, but no, Spider-Man. Oh yeah, we're all Spider. No, Peter Parker. We're all Peter Parker. Them. And the fact that they went back and did that shit for the Across the Spiderverse today. It's
they didn't just do it; they destroyed it.
Oh yeah.
Peter Parker can't escape, huh? What?
No, Miles Morales. Oh,
no,
okay.
Spider-Man can't escape.
But
stop him. And you know, I've been wanting to say this to you for a while. What does he say? Stop, there's nowhere to go. Oh, it turns out there was somewhere to go.
Yeah. I love Spider-Punk in that movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Hobie.
Like I just like, he just did not give a shit. He was like flat out like anarchist. He hated any kind of leadership so much.
He destroyed his own organization to do it. Or quit.
But no. So like, but what I liked about the end of we'll make this quick because we do have to wrap this up here because we still have 2 more to go through. With No Way Home, people have. So you and I have had a conversation about this on our show before.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate how they ended that movie with no one knowing who Peter Parker is, because that was, again, if you're not a comic book nerd, that did happen in the comic books. He did have his entire identity erased. People only knew who Spider-Man was. No one remembered he was Peter Parker.
I just made this. It's weird that it's just hitting me now. But talking this through, it seems in Far From Home, everybody knows who he is at the end. And in No Way Home, he's completely erased from everybody's minds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there's just 2 polar opposite endings. 2 outcomes. It goes from one extreme to the other. You're wanted by everyone as both, or you're wanted by everyone as one. Are you an outlaw, or are you an outlaw and wanted also in your personal life as well? But it's like, and I like the fact that he had to go back and make his own suit, because now that Peter Parker no longer, like, no one remembers Peter Parker, that means that even the AI does not remember Peter Parker, so he can't use his Iron Spider suit. He's back to the bare minimum.
Yeah, well, Hulk will remember him.
Well, Hulk's the only one. That's the whole thing. Like, the Hulk is the only one that, like, and that's if they follow the comic books on that one. But when that movie wraps, and you see him, like, you see the inspiration that he took from the other Spider-Man, from their designs, and he put everything into that suit. It was awesome. Like, actually seeing him actually go out as, like, the Spider-Man that he was always meant to become.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those from Civil War leading up, going all the way up to No Way Home, that was his birth as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They were not just individual Spider-Man movies. That was his journey into becoming Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was an arc.
Yeah. So now, like, with these next 3 movies, now that he is actually going to be Spider-Man, like, you know, the Spider-Man that we know from the comic books, that is broke, has nothing to his name, is struggling financially. I hope that they do the one thing that the Amazing Spider-Man never got a chance to do in that series. I hope that we get to see some interaction of Peter Parker with J. Jonah Jameson. You know, that's the whole thing from the first 2 movies that they absolutely got right. Again, like, J. Jonah Jameson and what do you call it? The Norman Osborn actor were the 2 best parts of. Sorry,
and bringing back JK was a bomb move.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, J.K. Simmons was also the voice of J. Jonah Jameson in the Into Spiderverse movie.
The man is J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, just look at the other anime characters he portrayed. Like, you know, Omni-Man from what do you call it? Invincible. He looks like J. Jonah Jameson in that show.
Yeah.
Just a muscular one. But so no, like, when they wrapped it up, I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like, how they did this. I'm excited for how this is going to turn out. And then after that, we got no, was it after that Into the Spider-Verse came out, or was it before that?
Well, I don't remember.
Either way, but Into the Spider-Verse came out, and that movie just blew my mind.
Yeah, it was,
you know, just
super stylized, really awesome story. Noir Spider-Man.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Spider-Ham.
yeah, Spider Noir. Oh yeah, that was hysterical. Spider like what was it like Spider Ham?
Yeah. I'm Peter Porker.
Yeah. I'm Peter Porker. Nice to meet you. Like, it was great.
It was
but
John
like
Mulaney.
Miles Morales, like this is going to be a trilogy series, and these
Yeah.
first two movies are really setting him up. The way they did the Kingpin. At first, I was put off by like how like the animation was, but then once I sat down to go see the movie, I'm like, this is actually amazing. But I love how he used his Uncle Aaron's advice when he's trying to tell him how to pick up women. And he's like, put your hand on her shoulder, just say, hey. He's like, hey. So he defeats the Kingpin at the end of the movie, but put his hand on the shoulder, like, hey, and zaps him.
Not a wasted moment, not a wasted line.
No, that movie's moved steadily along. I love the fact, and because this is going to get brought up when we talk about the next one. There's a scene where they steal a computer, like a computer from Dr. Octavia. And as they're running out, they grab a bagel. And someone's like, shit, he stole a bagel. He wings the bagel, chucks at a guy's head. And that guy who gets hit by a bagel is the villain in the next movie.
Nothing wasted.
But it's like I love how they transition. Like at the end of the movie, after he defeats Kingpin and all that stuff, he's laying in his bed, he's listening to his music, and then you see like the light, like shining down on him, and you hear Gwen Stacy's voice, calling him. And I love how in the second movie they showed exactly how it got to that point. And that second movie, like, damn, dude, it was great. They did such a great job with that movie. I was the entire time like, oh, this is awesome.
You know what I compare that moment to at the end of the first movie?
Huh?
Back to the Future.
Oh yeah,
it's
like Doc Brown showing up with the DeLorean.
Mm-hmm. Something's
we have another
done
mission
about your kids, Marty.
Yeah,
not knowing for sure whether or not that's a story that's going to be told, but since it turns out it was being a story, that's going to be told, they're like, hey, we already started it, so let's make sure that this actually fits into the story that we're going to tell. And that whole, up until that point, that whole opening with Gwen, there were two sets of opening credits for Spiderverse, Across the Spiderverse. The first being for Gwen.
Oh yeah, that was like 10, 15 minutes long.
Did we just get a short film in front of this movie?
Oh, that's what I felt like, man. I'm sitting the main thing. I was sitting in the theater watching this, like, and then we see the like Across the Spiderverse. That was an opening. That was half the damn movie.
It blew my mind.
Oh, they did a great job. Like, I mean, I thought it was awesome. Like, just like Gwen Stacy, like almost getting arrested by her dad, stuff like that. Like, I mean, I thought that was awesome. But no, give me a second. I gotta get back to the drink a second. Got an appointment tomorrow. You can pee. Oh no, momento. You got it, Josh.
Well, you know how it is, guys. But in case you haven't seen it, why are you here? There's spoiler tags all over this episode. So Across the Spiderverse opens with like Brandon said, a good 10-15 minute piece on what happened to Gwen after the first movie and what led to her showing back up over Miles's bed. And it would not surprise me at all to find that kind of gets broken off and becomes its own short film, like an official short film, because it is that good. And it was very much standalone enough to do that. So if anybody out there is listening from Sony or whoever, as far as the powers that be go, I'd say yes, hit that cut button right after Gwen's portion of that opening submit that son of a gun to the Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film and lock it down.
Yeah.
It was
I mean, the great thing about like the Across the Spider-Verse is that they waste both these movies. They waste no time. There's no clunky dialogue in either one of these movies. There's no bad dialogue. It all serves a purpose. Like it all leads somewhere.
Even the weird remarks from the people in the background, especially when it comes to being, in the Spider Central, where all the Spider-Men are just kind of hanging around.
Yep.
And then, dude, honestly, there was just so much going on screen. I couldn't keep track of what Spider-Man was what in the background. I mean, because
I was counting them, and I'm like, oh my god, it's also the Scarlet. Like I love what they did with the Scarlet Spider. I love what they did with him. How he's like, that's a wall, that's another wall. It's just like he just comes off like such a serious idiot. But
yeah, and he's the one that gets chosen. The Scarlet Spider gets chosen to chase after Miles Morales.
Yeah, but then like that whole chase scene though, like the chase scene through that whole entire area, that whole that whole facility, it was so gorgeous the way they did that. And then like the whole, I love the cowboy Spider-Man on the horse. We draw on 3, 1, 2, bam. I'm like, you didn't wait till 3. It was so stupid. But it's absolutely hysterical. Huh?
The spider car.
Oh yeah, the spider car. And I like the fact that it's no longer Miles Morales in a spray painted Spider-Man outfit. It's like his Spider-Man outfit now.
Yeah, he has a suit.
Yeah, he's actually got his own suit and everything else.
Now hold on, we got to mention this. I'm gonna say, even though I don't have like officially word that an MCU character is in this movie. Not just mentioned.
I know they mentioned Doctor Strange.
One appears on screen.
Who was on screen?
Donald Glover.
Oh, Donald Glover. That's right. No, he was. Prowler. Yeah. Yeah, the live action version of Uncle Aaron. Yep.
And he was in his full Prowler getup.
Yep.
And what was it? Somebody said something, and he's like, "Boo!"
Yeah,
it's kind of there. But
can we talk?
What's that?
Go ahead.
But what I was saying was, we saw him in what was it, Homecoming?
Yeah,
and we didn't see him again until now.
Yeah, you know what I loved? I loved the spot. I love when he went into Venom's universe. And so it was Mrs. Chang, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he goes in there, and she's just leading through a portal, and she's not even bothered by this. It's like, yeah, you're really not reacting the way I thought you would. She's like, what, am I supposed to be impressed? I'm like, damn, this one does not care. The only time she was around was when Venom threatened to eat her or something like that, and Eddie told her that he was thinking about eating her.
We got to talk about Lego Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I know that was great. The fact that wasn't that done by a kid.
That scene was animated by a 14-year-old.
Yeah. So the whole scene was it was a little kid. It was a kid that did that. And yeah, I thought that was great. I love the classic Spider-Man, the classic 1960s cartoon Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. It has 2 forms of animation. That's it. Just a still of him swinging, and then a fist, and he completely misses Miles Morales. But
everything, I want to see it again. Everything about it's good. The Spider-Man from India.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we do have to wrap this up because I have to get a shower and gotta get ready to go to work here. But I will say the way they ended it, the way they ended the movie, where he's in a different dimension, because like ultimately the way he escapes this whole thing is he has a biometric scan done of his retina, and instead of picking up on his DNA where he's from, they picked up on the spider's DNA where the spider was from. They put him in that universe where there's no Spider-Man. So the Prowler's still alive, but the Prowler is now that dimension is Miles Morales. And like the difference in stares from them back and forth at each other, like with Miles Morales talking about how he needs to go save his dad, and this Miles Morales just not giving a shit. The cold stare from Prowler Miles, and like the hopeful stare from Spider Miles. But then like how that very end scene where it's like he's strapped to the chains, and you see him just like kind of doing this, like with his finger on the chain, just pressing it, and you see like the little like sticking and like the zapping happening. This is where they leave this fucking film off. I'm like, oh my god. And that's where you heard everyone like shout out, like,
I was realizing that as they were going through the fast cuts to all of the major players.
Yeah.
Peter B. Parker, Spider-Man 2099, Miles, Gwen. It's like they're not going to wrap this up. This movie's not ending. There will be no conclusion to this until the next movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're ending it like this. That is so awesome. And again, like I said, it's very reminiscent of Empire.
Yep. And like Danielle brought up an interesting point on the way home from the theater. She's telling me, she's like, so Miles was always meant to be a villain. Like, well, I guess. Like, she's like, well, no, that he was meant to be a villain. If he did not get bit by that Spider-Man, his Uncle Aaron would have been alive. And his father probably would have died. And Uncle Aaron would have raised him into being the next Prowler. She's like,
it's possible.
And I'm like, oh, you might be right. She's like, no, I am right. Like, okay.
and one of the subtle things that I liked about Prowler Miles, his Spanish accent was thicker.
Yeah.
He had a completely different way of talking than Hero Miles. That I thought that was a very, very nice touch.
Absolutely.
For characterization.
Well, listen, I do have to get going. It is I gotta go. Sorry, guys. It's been a long show.
Yeah,
I really have to get to work tonight.
And we still haven't covered everything that we needed to cover.
No, we can. Well, how about this? We make this a part 2 for next week.
And I'm not even talking about Spider-Man in particular. Just we didn't talk about what we got up to together when we were, both here in town.
We can do that too.
And I have to say before you go, we both have to give Jen a very big thanks for stepping in and taking over the WADcast.
Absolutely. No, Jen did an awesome job. She did an absolutely awesome job, especially just like going solo. She did great. It was everything that you and I don't do. It was very on the spot, very well thought out.
Very informative and smart sounding.
Yes. No, Jen, thank you very much for last week. I greatly appreciate you standing in for the both of us. But on that note, it is I do work nights, ladies and gentlemen. I still have yet to go wash my nasty ass hair, and I've got to get ready to go to work. So
you wash your butt hair?
All of you, bjacksman1982, follow me on Instagram. Follow the WADcast on Instagram. Just type in the WADcast, you'll see us. Same with Facebook, the WADcast. Black profile picture, white banner that says WADcast. Give us a follow, and that's about it. Everyone, have a great night. Josh, have a great night, buddy. I'll try to touch base with you in a few minutes here as I'm on my way to work. And everyone, have a great night. Happy Friday. Be safe. No bad decisions.
Have Get out. There we go. I guess now that that's done, we'll take down the spoiler ticker. Hey, guys. What's up? I hope if you've made it to this point, you have seen the movie Across the Spider-Verse. Otherwise, sorry, but like I said, if you're watching the video, it's like right there at the bottom of the screen. Spoilers. If you downloaded the episode, it's right there in the title. You know, Spider-Man spoilers. Spoiler warning. You've been warned. We tried to tell you. So if something was spoiled, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. Because we're gonna have a conversation about it, and hopefully you maybe at least saved this episode until you've had a chance to watch the movie. It was a great movie, and I think it possibly surpassed the first one. To me, both 5-star movies. Look at my Letterboxd. Skid Comic on Letterboxd. Follow me. Why not? I'll follow back. So we're at that point in the show again where I tell you to go to wadcomedia.com. That's where you find all the links to the important social media stuff, as well as the merchandise store. It also has a Patreon, but meh. And buy a T-shirt. You'll feel better. And maybe I'll put together a Spider-Man inspired T-shirt with that lettering on it. That'd be pretty cool, don't you think? Not any of the Spider-Men, mind you, but just the WADcast lettering. It'd be cool if I could get cartoons of Brandon and myself as Spider-Man. But that's not here nor there. WADcomedia.com. Go to the pages, give them likes, subscribe, all that crazy jazz. Hey, it's the music. You know what that means. Now's the point in the show where I've been telling you for a long time now. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. If you want to write, start writing. Just don't sell it because the WGA is still on strike. If you want to act, do it quick because it looks like SAG's about to go on strike. If you want to direct, you should be fine because they already, negotiated new contracts for directors. Although without writers and actors, what the hell are you going to direct? But the point is, take the opportunities afforded to you, create opportunities yourself, and just get out there and do the thing you want to do. You don't need to ask permission to create your art. All you have to do is create it. You don't have to have all of the talent in the world to put things together. Look at me. I don't know what I'm doing, and I put together this image with this stuff. Spider-Man and the lettering. I had a vision in my head, looked up how to do it, and I did it. You can do the same, but it doesn't happen if you don't do it. So get out there, do the thing. And until next time, thank you all for joining. Someone again, thank you, Jen. I cannot say thank you enough for affording Brandon and myself the opportunity to get together on the weekend that he was in town. Yeah, we might have been able to do a live show together, but God, the logistics of that would have been just crazy. And I really enjoyed the episode Jen put out. I hope you did too. So thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody, for listening / watching. And we will see you next time on the WADcast. Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm Josh, speaking for Brandon. We will see you next time.